All right, time again. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We're back for more live Women's Champions League action as we're into the Knockout Play-off Round second legs. Last night we trekked to some decent football as Arsenal crushed Leuven on aggregate and Real Madrid got through as well. Today we'll find our other two quarterfinalists to complete our final eight. The first game is Juventus taking on Wolfsburg, a 2-2 draw last week in Germany, Harry. Juve leading by 2-0, Wolfsburg being able to peg them back late in the game. But it did feel for a large part that Juventus may take advantage onto their home turf. How does that impact on today's game?
Yeah, it impacts massively. As you say, I think Juventus will turn up in this second leg and feel very frustrated that they couldn't come back with at least a goal advantage. But Wolfsburg completing the late escape almost to give themselves a fighting chance in this second leg. And now we turn up tonight and it's all to play for, could go either way. So it was probably the most dramatic first leg out of the four knockout playoff ties, and I think we could be in for another incredibly exciting second leg. As I say, it's all on the line. Both sides had good moments last week. Both sides also had patches where they were second best. So it's going to come down to clinicality. It's going to come down to which side can get it right on the night. But yeah, I think Juventus will be frustrated that they haven't come into this game with a lead, but home advantage, it's still level. They'll fancy themselves to get through to the quarterfinals tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Wolfsburg's performance last week wasn't strong, but they found a way. Does that perhaps suggest what could happen tonight? Wolfsburg having those started players. Now, Alex Poppers we'll get to, but they've got those players that can get them over the line. Have Juventus got what it takes? Have they got the experience? Or have they got the quality, to be able to overcome Wolfsburg experience?
Yeah, it's difficult. As you say, I think that we saw the best of both worlds in that first leg. Juventus, the quality, the good football, it shone through, but experience and pedigree always finds a way in these kind of games, and that's exactly what VfL Wolfsburg did last week, and that's what they're going to do today. Pressure's onto both sides today. It's a crunch match. This is where we usually see those more experienced players, the players that have been here and done it before. This is where we see them thrive. And Wolfsburg have got those kind of names in abundance, whereas Juventus, they've got a few, but not as many. But yeah, I think that Juventus, again, have got to look to try and do the same thing. For Wolfsburg, as I say, they're tried and tested in these kind of matches. They will back themselves to have the nerve to hold off the pressure and to find a way through here.
All right, well, let's dive into the lineups. Then we'll kick off with Juventus as we are at the Allianz Arena in Turin for this game. A 3-5-2 for Juventus, the home side. In goal it is De Jong. A back three of Lenzini, Salvi back from injury, and Harvakan. Wing backs of Carbonell and Bonansea. A midfield three of Leovalti, Eva Schatzer coming back into the side, and Stolen Godo. And then a front line with Anna Capeta scoring on her debut last week, and Chiara Bakari coming in to replace Amelie Vangsgaard. So a handful of changes there for Juventus. You think it makes them stronger overall, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, they're changes that I like. On the whole, it's a very similar side, and I think that's good to keep most of consistency. But I look at the players that have come in to start this game, and I think they're the right decisions. Ava Schatzer in the midfield, starting in the middle with Alti, big boost. We spoke about Schatzer coming off the bench and being a top quality player last week, and the fact she wasn't starting being a bit of a weird omission. But back in the starting 11 tonight, Schatzer's a player that just keeps things ticking over in the midfield, can give you a lot of control in games, and that is what Juventus lacked going in in those latter stages of the match last week, where they lost a bit of control and Wolfsburg got back into it. Salvi returning from injury is a massive boost for Juventus. Brilliant at the Euros for Italy, has had a good campaign as well in the Champions League during the league phase, and that is a massive boost for Juventus to have Salvi back. And I think across the board, as I say, the main structure from last week is still there. They're going to look to do very similar things, but I do think those couple changes that Kanzi have made will benefit Juventus tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you mentioned there with Salvi, that's that bit of experience, isn't it? Similar for Leovalti, really important that she's in this game. Was a slight concern over her fitness as she came off in the 58th minute of the first leg. Is able to start, though, in this second leg. And we obviously saw Schatzer come on and did really well in the last half an hour. But I think without Valti, they did lose a bit of the control in there, a bit of the steal. So, yeah, that's something I've got to address today. Valti obviously starts, though, so they need to just keep her fit, make sure she can play 90 minutes, and they should be okay. But if Juventus play like they did for the first half last week, or even the first 70, 80 minutes, they'll be absolutely fine. I think that's the key point, really. If Juventus play the way they have throughout this tournament, they'll win this match.
Yeah.
But Wolfsburg have a lot of quality. Let's have a look at that Wolfsburg team. A 4-3-3 for Wolfsburg. In goal, it is Johannes. In the back, for Bjalda, Dijkstra, Kuva returning from injury, and Sarai Linda. Then a midfield three of Minga and Pedemos as a pivot. Kierland just in front of them. Then on one wing, Svenja Huth. On the other, Enderman. And leading the line, Lynette Berenstein. So no Alexandra Pop missing this game with a knock. That's a big player missing from the spine of this Wolfsburg team.
Yeah, it's a big blow for Wolfsburg. Yes, Alexandra Pop didn't have a great game last week against Juventus in the first leg. But when we're speaking about players who have experience in these kind of games, when we're speaking about that elite pedigree of player, Alexandra Pop demonstrates that in everything she does on a football pitch, and it's the one player that you would want if you're Wolfsburg. It's the one player that you would want for a game like tonight. She's been here and done it before. It's a big blow. It is a big blow for Wolfsburg, and they're going to have to adjust without her, but I still think that midfield three composition looks very, very strong. Obviously, Minga's penalty was one of the 2 goals that pulled it back last week. Pedemos has had a really good Champions League as well, and the front three didn't show their quality last week, let's be honest. Huth, Berenstein, both very quiet, but it's a front three that pack a lot of power, a lot of danger, and if they can get on the ball, they will cause Juventus issues, but they weren't involved. They weren't involved for 70, 80 minutes last week, and if it wasn't for Sarai Linda with a beautiful strike to level it up, Wolfsburg would be in a difficult position. The pressure's on them. You're exactly right. If Juventus play like they did last week, they should have no problems in this game. The pressure is on VfL Wolfsburg to bounce back and to put in a much better performance, because they were quite below the standard in the first leg. They're going to have to raise their game tonight if they want to walk off this pitch and be in that quarter-final against Lyonnais.
Yeah, I think they rode their luck at times in the league phase, did Wolfsburg. I think it was similar last week. They had, their 2 goals came from that worldie from Sarah Linda, as you mentioned, and a penalty. So, as much as I think that they have got the quality, I'm surprised there's no change in the front line with how lackluster they were. Lynette Berenstein really wasn't involved last week. Svenja Huth was, again, a player that didn't really get involved. I thought there were some good signs from Vivian Enderman, but we never really saw her be able to actually create anything of high quality or actually threaten a goal, despite some nice flashes, some nice moments. But, yeah, they just didn't quite have that bite, Wolfsburg. I don't particularly rate Stefan Lerch. I don't like the way they've played this season. I don't think they've been as strong as they should be. I think they're there for the taking. Juventus have been one of the form teams, really, of the league phase. I thought they were the better side last week and deserved to get through, or deserved to win that match, and they'd be looking at a much more comfortable game today. If they can get that early goal, if they can withstand whatever Wolfsburg are going to bring this evening, I think Juventus will be in a great position. I think their performances would merit them getting into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that, we have to give a lot of praise to Juventus. The way that they, dictated themselves, the way they carried themselves in the league phase was really, really strong. And they've come in, and it's not one of those where I don't think it feels like a massive surprise, because we've always waited for Juventus to do this, to have this kind of run, and they'll be hoping that they can carry it on, take that next step and get into the quarterfinals against a Lyonnais side, which they've already taken the game to in the league phase. But I think that it's really encouraging to see them get through into the knockout stages and play against sides like Wolfsburg and, as I mentioned there, potentially Lyonnais, because that's where we want to see Juventus. Too many times over the last couple of years, we've seen the Italian side, being knocked out in the groups, not really making a dent in the Champions League and being really disappointing on the European stage. So the fact that they've turned up this year, as you say, if they play like the way they have so far, they should get through this tie and get into the last 8. And what an achievement that would be. The big thing will be that if Wolfsburg have got the ability just to turn up and win this game tonight. And that's where the threat comes from. But we haven't seen that materialise at all, really, this season. So if you're Juventus, Kanzi will be sitting there in the dressing room going, if we play as well as we have all tournament, we've got a great chance of walking off this pitch and getting through to the next round. Because unless Wolfsburg pull out a performance from nowhere, Juventus should have a really good chance, tonight. The fact they're not leading on aggregate, is a bit unfair. And Wolfsburg, obviously, they did well to pull it back, but they weren't deserving it. They didn't deserve a draw last week at all. They should be coming into the second leg losing, but they're not, and they rode their luck. But I think that Juventus are in the good position where they can just focus on their own game tonight, and if they get it right, then they're bang on the money to beat Wolfsburg here.
Yeah, it's one of those though for Wolfsburg where I do just feel maybe Pop not being involved could be a blessing in disguise. Will the balance of the team just be slightly better this evening, where you'd probably expect with Kieran in there more of a defensively minded midfielder, it will be more of a midfield three. And I just think that balance may work better for Wolfsburg. Obviously, we know Minga likes to drop either in between centre halves or wide of the centre halves in order to form that back three. And what you often end up with is Pop obviously wants to play quite high, and then Pedamor's, and there's just a lot of space, a lot of distance between those two. But if you've got two in there, and Kieran and Pedamor's, who do want to be a little bit closer, they can probably combine quite effectively, and they may be actually able to play through Juventus a little easier. We'll see what happens, but I do just wonder whether the balance may be slightly stronger. But as I say, we'll see what they're going to look like tonight, Wolfsburg. I think if the other thing I would say is if they had an attack midfielder, that would be great. I don't think Kieran gives you much more in terms of creativity, and I do think you're going to miss that goal-scoring pedigree of Alexandra Pop, because what they are quite good at is getting Bierenstein to stretch the back line, picking Pop out in those sorts of in the space between the defensive line and the midfield. Often she's able to pick up those sorts of positions and get the ball in there, and that's a great opportunity to take a shot then. But so they're going to miss that. I do just think that they may have a slightly better balance to the side this evening. Both of the players coming out to the field then. So let's dive into our scoreline predictions. If you're watching along to the show and want to get involved, then let us know your scoreline prediction in the live chat, and we'll make sure to get through all of them before kickoff. We're going to start here in the studio though, and as always, Harry, we'll come to you first. What is your prediction for today's game?
Oh, it's a really difficult one to call. I think that I'm gonna favour the home side. I think Juventus will have enough in this game. I think it'll be a close one, but I'm gonna say Juventus to win. I will say a 2-1 win on the Knights. They will win 4-3 on aggregate. A bit of a knockout playoff classic. I will go for goal scorers for Juventus to be Bakary and who's a Carbonell. I'll say Carbonell to get the second. I think they'll race into a 2-goal lead like they did last week. Wolfsburg will get one back through Sven Yehoof, try and throw everything at it to pull it back, but not find the goal to level it up. 2-1 Juventus on the night. Juventus to progress 4-3 on aggregate.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a very similar prediction. I'm going to say Juventus 3, Wolfsburg 1. I think it'll be almost the exact same scenario that you've just laid out. But I think we'll see Wolfsburg really aggressively pushing for that late goal. They're going to send their goalkeeper up and stuff, and then Juventus are able to break away and get a third and really, celebrate that final goal more than they can the other two. So, yeah, I think very similar story. In terms of goal scorers, I will say I can see Leo Valti getting a goal this evening. I'll back Anna Kapeta to keep up her good form. I think then it will be for Wolfsburg, I will say I'm going to go Yanina Minga from the penalty spot again. And then I think it'll be a breakaway and it will be a substitute for Juventus. I'm going to go for, I was tempted to go Girelli, but I don't think she's going to come on, unfortunately. I would say Cambiaghi just running in behind. I can see them just changing that front line to be a little bit more transitional if they get to that sort of late point of the game. A few thoughts in the live chat then. Kyle and Nigel, welcome to the stream. Kyle says 2-1 Juventus. Nigel saying 2-1 Juventus. It feels like the most obvious prediction so far then, with mostly everyone we've heard from going for 2-1 Juventus. The poll in chat also in favour of the home side. 60% Juventus, 40% Wolfsburg. I think that's one of the closest we've had this season. So yeah, going to be a good tie.
Yeah, it's going to be a great tie. The first leg was even and a very good game because it's a perfect mix of a Juventus side who are in really good form at the moment, but a Wolfsburg side that have got the household names and got the quality. And when those two clash, it's a bit difficult. If Wolfsburg were banging form and were firing on all cylinders, then I think we'd all be sat here saying Wolfsburg are going to win this one. But because they've found it so difficult in Europe this season, because how good Juventus' form is, it completely changes the complexion. So yeah, I think the majority of people will be agreeing, and so far the predictions are that Juventus could just edge this based on form, because form and positivity is massive going into these kind of ties. But if Wolfsburg can get players like Sven Yehoof in the game, get someone like a Lynette Bierenstein into this match, then they're the kind of players that could definitely cause Juventus issues. But I think that I look at that back three for Juventus, I think it's incredibly strong, and that their best I think if Juventus can keep Wolfsburg quiet, I think the home side will score at some point. So it's about biding their time. I'm intrigued to see how both sides will play it, whether we're going to see one side opt to be a bit more aggressive from the start, or whether it'll probably be quite a cagey start. First 5-10 minutes, nothing silly, just get into the game, and then as the game goes on, both sides will look to go for it. But when you get these ties at 11 on aggregate, it's really difficult to work out whether both sides are going to see that as an opportunity to go for it, or whether both sides are going to just be happy to try and sit around and wait for extra time.
You've got two pretty juxtaposed sides here. A team in Wolfsburg who've been very strong domestically, struggled in Europe, against the Juventus side who've struggled domestically, been really good in Europe. It's going to be Juventus to get us underway here at the Allianz Arena. The referee waiting for the referee's whistle will be Juventus to get us started. Anna Capeta from the middle. Referee waiting for the countdown, and we can now get underway here in Turin. It's Juventus taking on Wolfsburg, a place in the quarter-finals at stake as we continue the road towards Oslo 2026. And it's Wolfsburg who turn the ball over quickly here. Pedamos. Now towards the left-hand side. Now back to Kuva. Dijkstra. And Wolfsburg looking to hurt Juventus early on here. Bielda wearing a face mask this evening. Back across the back line. Kuva. Here's Sarai Linda, goes down the line. Enderman runs herself into trouble, and it's one high at the pitch here by Chiara Bakari. Carrying that ball directly now, Bakari. Looking left for the option. The overlapping Estela Carbonell. Needs support. Great work from Bakari, who holds onto the ball, pokes it down the line for Carbonell, who lifts it into the box, headed away from the on-rushing Barbara Bonansea. Will fall now to Lenzini in support, tries to cut it back. Cleared away well by Janina Minga. Valti brings it down on the edge. Shifts it into Salvi, who's almost dispossessed, is then dispossessed. And Beerenstein tries to run it forwards. Linda trying to keep this move going. That ball played over the top and collected by Harviken.
Good start from Juventus. Bakari looking very sharp, brought in to start this game tonight, and looks lively, getting on the ball, trying to take players on early doors, and it's a good positive start from the home side who are trying to get on the front foot early.
Estea Carbonell trying to hit it in behind. Picked up well by Stolen Godo. Shifts it inside. Great hold up from Capeta. Now Bakari, space to operate in. Closed down well by Kuva. Here's Bonansea. Takes a nick. Johannes spills it out. Capeta who tries to get there. Brilliant from Dijkstra. But Wolfsburg are all over the place in these early stages.
Yeah, really good start from Juventus. Wolfsburg just can't keep them at bay. It's Bonansea who gives herself half a yard on that left foot. Doesn't catch it completely well, but does enough to trouble Johannes, who should do better. Spills out of her grasp, but Dijkstra sparing her blushes there. But Wolfsburg again, another really shaky start.
Schatzer slightly loose, does find Valti. He's so press resistant, Leo Valti. And Juventus are under the cosh here. Schatzer. Stella Carbonell. Goes down the line. Godo jostling away for the ball. Pulls back Kierland. Advantage played though as Wolfsburg maintain possession. Pedamores dispossessed in there for a poor pass. Capeta latches onto the loose ball. Tries to find Bonansea. Linda sending it home. Johannes now to the right-hand side. Dijkstra under pressure. Bielda goes down the line. Nice exchange between Kierland and Huth. Janina Minga carries it forwards. Back to Kierland. So I was right about it looking more like a midfield three. We're seeing Minga play and rotate with Kierland in that sort of deeper role. And then two midfielders sitting higher. Enderman taking it down the left-hand side. Forced backwards now to supporting Linda. On the edge of the box, it's Kierland. Can't find a way towards goal. Bielda loops it in there, and it's claimed well by the goalkeeper, De Jong.
Yeah, you just feel Wolfsburg are lacking a bit of a presence. Beerenstein, can get herself about, but you want to get her in behind rather than playing it to her. But Bielda looks up to cross it there, and there's absolutely nobody to aim for.
Carbonell carrying this ball forward, wanting that pass, but I think she's just got to keep carrying it there. So much space. Valti slips it through. Will Bonansea get there? Crucial challenge from Sarai Linda. Probably should have put more on that. Leah Valti, I think, was a little bit too cautious with that pass.
Yeah, didn't want to overhit it, but there was a lot of grass for Balancea to use there, and I think you could have put a bit more on it and just allowed her to run onto the ball rather than looking to play it into her feet.
Indeed. Kuva. Kierland. Now Bielda does well to keep hold of that ball. Dijkstra. And Bielda can't keep that in touch. So a throw-in for Juventus on this near side. Kyle onto the stream says the bookies are saying Wolfsburg to win. Fans are for Juventus. Massive inefficiency in the betting market. Well, I think that's just going based off reputation and previous results. It's probably quite algorithmic. And probably someone who hasn't watched any women's football this year. Across to the left-hand side. Now Linda. Carrying the ball up the pitch. Kuva. Wolfsburg shift to the right. Dijkstra. Trying to find Huth in the half space. Great work from Schatzer to intercept though. Harviken going down the line. Bielda will let that run. Capeta puts pressure on the ball. Minga. Kierland. Now Huth. Back to Dijkstra. Minga under pressure. Finds Kuva. Enderman holding the width. Goes back to the right-hand side instead though. Dijkstra. Wide to Huth. Pass inside and intercepted by Godo. Carbonell. Schatzer. Godo. Carbonell. Schatzer. Back to Harviken. Carbonell caught by a late challenge in there. That will be a free kick awarded for Juventus. Kierland the culprit.
Yeah, both of them challenging for it. Carbonell gets there first and Kierland just caught it. But a little bit better from Wolfsburg. They're getting the ball down and just starting to move it. Not really going anywhere with it, but they are getting a foot on the ball, which is important because Juventus had started very well in this game and we're looking to put them under pressure immediately. Early goal is massive in these kind of ties, but Wolfsburg have done well just to settle down a little bit.
Indeed. Throw in now for Juventus then. Carbonell. Valti. And now Salvi. De Jong. Tries to find the right-hand side. Picked off well by Sarai Linda. Kierland. Now Janina Minga. Kierland. Picked off by Capeta. Can't quite get there though. Dijkstra. Bielda. Wides into Huth. On the touchline. Bielda. Loose touch. One back by Juventus. Capeta couldn't find the forward pass. Valti into Schatzer. Looks worrying for Anna Capeta, who is stretching for that ball. And looks to be in a lot of discomfort here. Let's have another look at that stretch to try and reach it. And just, I think, planting that foot horribly. It's that left ankle. I think the way it goes into the turf will be a concern. Or the hip, actually, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to work out. I think it might be her elbow. But I'm not really sure how she did that. Just
Ooh,
yeah,
just it's flexed as she tries to steady herself. But I think it's a hip, no?
I don't know.
That's what they're trying to treat.
Yeah, it's that right. It's that left arm. She's just kept tucked in.
Yeah, it's the arm.
That's a shame because she started the first leg very brightly. Well, she played well in the first leg and started this leg quite brightly. But again, that all comes from a bit of sloppiness from Wolfsburg. It was the heavy touch from Bielda that slipped away and Juventus pounced on it.
Yeah. Oh, Capeta will get further treatment here. I think they're just going to try and bandage it up. I mean, I don't know how she's going to play on with that. Harviken sending it forward. Juve down to 10, but still packing a punch. Dijkstra wins that off Godo. Can't keep it in play, though. Juventus throw in high up the field. And this gives them the opportunity now to threaten the Wolfsburg box. And it's Carbonell to take the throw. Capeta back with a bandaged arm. And a vengeance. Carbonell. Cross is blocked by Huth. Corner now for Juventus. And they could do with Capeta back on the field for this.
Yeah. Again, good spell from Juventus. couple of throw-ins, working the ball up the line and having an opportunity here just to put the ball in and test Wolfsburg's box defending, which to start with in this game hasn't been brilliant.
No.
And now Juventus are packing out that 6-yard box.
Corner now then. Swung in towards the front post, bounces through the bodies. It took a touch in there, but it was off a Juventus play. I think it may have been Anna Capeta. Goes wide for a Wolfsburg goal kick. Yeah,
and then we're frustrated with that. Juventus is a really good delivery, landing in the middle of the 6-yard box, and someone must have got a light touch on it. Or maybe it went all the way through. But yeah, that was a good delivery. Someone's got to pounce.
So Wolfsburg goal kick. Johannes will try and find a forward pass. I'm just going to lump it along here, Wolfsburg. And the header won by Salvai. Minga comes in and is authoritative. And Harviken up against Berenstein. Well, that could have got messy, as we saw last night, with the foul going the other way. Berenstein penalised.
Yeah, smart. Really smart defending from Harviken. Gets her body the right side of the attacking player. And Berenstein was all over it.
Carvanel down the line looking for Godo. And that is strong challenge from Janina Minga. I think that could have been an argument for a free kick there, given as a throw-in. Shadow says, would you like a penalty shootout? I'd love this game to go the distance. I think this could be a great tie. The problem is, it's horrible scheduling from UEFA. This game will run into, if it goes to extra time, it will run into Manchester United Atletico. And if it goes to penalties, it's going to run to almost half time in that game.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult with sort of putting these games together, but I mean, yeah, it's kind of it's also fallen quite horribly where this week there were 2 games that realistically could have gone beyond the 90. And that is this game and the game that kicked off earlier yesterday.
Yeah.
Whereas both the later games, which could run later, were both kind of dead rubber fixtures. Unless United completely fall apart this evening.
Yeah, you want to see drama, you want to see action. It'd be incredible, scenes if every tie went to penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, welcome to the Strangers. Who may the winner play in the next round? The winner of this will face OL Lyonnais, the second place side, in the league phase. And I think most people's favourites to win the competition. So it would not be the nicest tie, but I don't think there's going to be any kind quarterfinals, are there? Ball inside, back down the line. Looking for Enderman, and that's cleared away by Lenzini. And flicked on and out of play, and that will be a throw-in on the far side.
Yeah, Juventus have just got to keep plugging away. They've started strongly here. They've got starting to build a bit of momentum. I think they'd like to test Johannes a bit more at the moment, but it's been a good start.
I think it's quite interesting as well, because what we've ended up with is a situation where, and that's obviously the design of the league phase, where it does feel merited that the sides who finished higher in the league phase seem to have the tougher games, or the easier games, sorry. So first is Barcelona, they're playing Real Madrid. That's probably the nicest quarterfinal tie.
Yeah.
Lyonnais facing either Juventus or Wolfsburg, that's probably nicer than playing United or Arsenal. And then obviously it will be, or Atletico. Then obviously Chelsea, Arsenal, and then fourth place Bayern will face United or Atletico. Unless Atletico win that's probably ended up almost fair. Bielda going down the line. It'll also mean that if Juventus win today and United, all 4 of the first seed teams would go through. Bakary, opportunity now. Can she find the cutback? Great defending from Bielda. And that's out for a Juventus corner. Really important challenge because Bakary had broken through. Dijkstra stopped her in her track. She cut in looking to take a shot. And Bielda was able to get back in there. The loose touch from Bakary gave her that opportunity and she was able to make the challenge.
Yeah, Bakary will be annoyed there because I think both her touches let her down a little bit. The first one was too close to Dijkstra, and then she had to take one that was a little bit heavier to get away from the centre half, and it allowed Bielda to get back in on the recovery.
Ball in towards the back post, headed away convincingly by Janina Minga. Put back in there by Lenzini, headed on by Capeta. No one can quite get to it and contest Johannes, who claims the ball well.
Yeah, again, another good ball in from Valti, right on the money. but finding the header, Yanina Minga, well recycled by Lenzini and Capeta. Well, it's going to be difficult to beat the goalkeeper with a header from there, but did well to flick it in the general direction of the goal. That's a few set pieces now that Juventus have had that they haven't really been able to utilise so far.
Yeah, I think that one though, you want Harvican, I think it was, who was closest, to go and put a bit of pressure on the keeper, because it's unlikely that you're going to be able to head it and get away with it, because the keeper will go down and the ref will probably call that as a foul. But I think you've got to challenge it, because if you do score, it's great, and if it counts, it's great. And if not, you're going to put the goalkeeper under pressure. You're going to, that psychological impact of the goalkeeper feeling that little bit of pressure, feeling that intensity. I think you just got to challenge that football there. No reason not to. Bielda goes down the line. Bierenstein holds on to it well, is then fouled apparently by Estella Carbonell. I'm not sure there was too much contact in there, but it will be a Wolfsburg free kick and a chance to put the ball in the box.
Yeah, Bierenstein did well. Get another look back at it here. Just gets part. Yeah, I'm not too sure as much in that. Carbonell just being assertive. They're both grappling for each other a little bit. But yeah, Wolfsburg with an opportunity. A bit of a soft free kick, but a chance nonetheless to put Juventus under a bit of pressure.
So Wolfsburg with this free kick. Kierland and Huth, the players over it. Kierland's take. Huth goes down the line. Kierland loops it in there. Great delivery, headed well by Salvi. Bielda trying to recycle it. But that one, a very wayward attempt.
Yeah, really did not catch that properly. Just read the bounce completely wrong and end up jumping at it and volleying it well wide. But another great ball. We've seen some great deliveries from players on either side in this game, but no one managed to meet them so far.
Huth tries to find Bielda, one back well by Capeta. Carbonell, Schatzer, poking it through. Bakari carries the ball forwards. Tries to take on Dijkstra. Does well to hold on to the football. And that's out for a Wolfsburg challenge. For Wolfsburg throw, sorry, after a good challenge. Won well by Dijkstra. And it did end up making contact again with Bakari, so it will be a Wolfsburg throw. And they're going to look to go down the line. Harvican wins the header. Vouty tries to nod it forwards. Picked off in midfield. Poor pass from Minga. Bonansea now carries it to the right-hand side. A give and go with Capeta, who was brought down in there. Doesn't quite come off. But a nice idea from Juventus. And Enderman now coming forwards. Pedamores to the right-hand side. Here's Huth. Knocks it across towards Enderman. Lenzini tries to stop her. Enderman in on goal. And tucks it home brilliantly. Wolfsburg move it back to front. Seamlessly, a lovely play from Wolfsburg. Huth on the right-hand side. Squaring the ball well. Slotting through Enderman, who has no issues tucking that chance away. And against the run of play, Wolfsburg with the first real shot of the game find the back of the net. It's Juventus 0, Wolfsburg 1.
A counter-attack executed with perfect precision from Wolfsburg. And we speak about them having the quality in attacking areas to hurt Juventus tonight. And what a pass this is from Svenja Huth. They turn it over, they move it nicely, but the ball from Huth, it looked like the easy option was just to lay it into Bierenstein down the line, but no, she backed herself, placed the crossfield pass perfectly into the path of Enderman, and it's a really nice finish to beat Johannes. But what a move from Wolfsburg. 3 or 4 passes, and they'd gone from their centre-halves to putting Enderman through on goal. And as you say, against the run of play, it's been all Juventus in the first 18 minutes, but Wolfsburg are the ones leading.
Yeah, Juventus just come undone. You can see Bonansea trying to drive inside centrally. She lost that ball, and you look up, and they just didn't seem set at all. And there were so many gaps. Wolfsburg able to exploit that really effectively. Now, there will be an argument about whether Capeta was fouled in there, but I don't think there was enough contact. It's definitely not going to get overturned. There was a different phase of play. Bonansea towards the right-hand side. Here's Bakari. And she makes something happen. Ball into the dangerous area. Not quite able to pick out a teammate, though. Slightly behind and slightly in front of all the options in the box.
Yeah, again, another good ball in. but just seems to be missing everybody. And then even the clearance wasn't convincing from Bielda, and it just slides past 2 Juventus players and falls perfectly to a green shirt.
Harvacan back to De Jong. Wolfsburg applying pressure well here towards the left-hand side. Bielda wins the header. Second ball won by Carbonell. Godo tries to go up the line. Wolfsburg coming forwards now though. Huth, Pedamors, Minga. There does just seem to be, I think, a much better balance about this Wolfsburg side without Alexandra Pop in midfield. I think with them dropping Kierland in at times and the fluidity of that midfield 3, they have been able to retain the ball a lot better rather than the very static midfield 2. And then Pedamors, and then Pop just sat higher. Carbonell going down the line. Bielda wins the header. Huth keeps it in touch. And now they try to go to the left-hand side. Kierland to Kuva. Dijkstra. Kuva. Linda knocks it inside. Kierland back out wide. Enderman able to find Janina Minga, who moves it to the right even further. Bielda touches on. Here's Huth on the touchline. Forced backwards. Bielda inside to Minga. Dijkstra. Linda to the left-hand side now. Enderman, the goal scorer. Can she find something else in this game? Schatzer blocks. Kept alive by Kierland. Out towards the right-hand side. Huth. That almost at her head, but she brings it down with her foot. Knocks it down the line. Minga. Huth. And back to Bielda inside to Kierland. Dijkstra shifts it wide. Bielda into Huth. Forced back inside towards Minga. And the pass back towards Dijkstra. Dijkstra takes a nick off Capeta. Wolfsburg moving the ball around the back.
Yeah, nice football from Wolfsburg. They're moving it nicely now. That goal has given them a big boost. And I'm pleased for Enderman because I thought she was the brightest spark for Wolfsburg in that first leg, but couldn't quite find the back of the net, and she was actually the first attacker to be subbed off, which I thought was a bit harsh, but good to see her getting on the score sheet tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're watching her changing the guard, aren't we? We widely expect that Lynette Bernstein will leave in the summer on a free transfer. You wouldn't think it'd be too long till Svenja Huth and Alexandra Pop are thinking about retiring or moving on. It's a bit of a changing of the guard, and we saw them bring in Kessia Bussi in the summer, and while she hasn't got loads of minutes yet, you think there's a future there for her at the club. Vivian Enderman, who takes another strike now, blocked by Lenzini. Wolfsburg corner, but Enderman, another player who you'd think will be around for years to come. They're probably going to be looking in the summer for that key player, the striker, to replace Annette Biedenstein, but there's lots of positive signs about Wolfsburg looking at forwards.
Yeah, it's starting to come together, and even tonight, the first 22 minutes here has been much better than anything we saw last week, and Juventus are just having to deal a bit here. The momentum has shifted definitely with that first goal. Wolfsburg got a bit of a spring in their step, and the home side seems to just fallen a bit flat.
Huth plays it short, ball swung in, and Capeta gets it clear. And Wolfsburg able to recycle it on the halfway line. Linda launching it forward, trying to find Bierenstein in behind. De Jong, no issues claiming it. Bierenstein with a pretty egregious shove on Harvacan. Referee waving it away as Juve come forwards. Carbonell. Godo. Now Salvi. Godo. Salvi. Trying to play forwards. Dijkstra. Minga. Kierland. Back towards Dijkstra. Now, back with Johannes. Dijkstra. Sending it forwards. Carbonell misjudging it. Lenzini has to battle off Bierenstein. Drops to midfield now. And Valti picking up the ball under pressure from Pedamors. Carbonell. Godo. Can't hold the ball. One back well there by Valti. De Jong lifting it long. Header by Linda. Bakari brings it down. Now Valti. Out towards the right-hand side. Carried forward here by Salvi, who knocks it down the line. Bonansea, options in the box, drills it across the face of goal. Godo looking for it in the back post, cleared away by Sarai Linda. Salvi darts inside dangerously. Chance now, and she takes aim, and that saved well by Johannes. Recycled by Bonansea, slipped into Cecilia Salvi, who couldn't quite find the back of the net, but troubled the keeper well. Got away from Kuva, and Johannes with a big stop.
Really good move from Juventus, keeping the pressure onto Wolfsburg. The initial ball in from Bonansea would look destined to find Godo, but a big intervention recycled well, and that's a huge save from Johannes to deny Salvi. And a bit of a change of tactic here from the corner from Juventus. The corner coming from the far side now, and they've lined up in 2 trains of 3 around the penalty spot. I'm very intrigued to see what is going to happen here.
They'll just stay there and Carbonell runs through the middle.
Maybe that's the plan. Maybe.
And Valti. Oh no, Godo here. Walking off. So what's happened here? Well, we're going to look back at the Salvi shot. Surely not an early substitution. Sterling Godo's gone. With little explanation as to why.
Just walked off.
So Juventus in no position yet to take the corner. Godo has left the field. It's for a change of shorts. So Juve will play on. Ball in, headed away well by Kuva. Now Carbonell. Tidy turn.
Ooh.
Tries to fire a shot. Lenzini now from range. I don't mind that. Juventus were very open. At best, that flies in. At worst, they could take their shape now.
Yeah.
And also go build out from the back.
I think
Godo returns to the action.
might be a first. I can't remember ever seeing a player leave the field to have a change of shorts.
No, I can't recall it.
The only thing, unless there was a tear or the blood on them, I don't. The referee wouldn't have made a change them.
Johannes. Hoover. Ball round the corner well as Linda exchanges well with Minga. Linda out towards the right-hand side. Bielda. Lifted forwards, headed away by Harvican. Valti picked off, and now Carbonell. Godo. That's well to hold it up. Carbonell. Harvican. Carbonell. Schatzer. Trying to find Capeta. Dijkstra. Down the line to Huth. One back in midfield by Schatzer. Batting away with Minga. He tries to poke it through the lines. One back in there by Carbonell. Huth heads inside. Now Bielda.
I have to say, Capeta has really struggled to get into this game. Dijkstra seems to just be able to match anything she's trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, has struggled. Berenstein. I do just wonder as well, because a lot of her game's physicality. And you've got a player there who's suffered a pretty bad looking arm injury. Berenstein coming inside, dancing our way through Lynette. Berenstein blocked well by Harvican. Tidy footwork from Berenstein. Here's Bakari. Carrying it forwards, wants to run at Kuda. Holds the ball up well. Now out for Juventus throw.
Yeah, they just don't seem to be able to get up and get back as a unit at the moment. Juventus, they did really well at just sticking to and fro with each other in the first leg, but it either feels that the front two are getting isolated a little bit, or the inverse, where the defence are left a little bit on their own. They can't seem to strike that balance.
Yeah, Bonansea battling for the ball, cleared away well by Dijkstra. And Lenzini up against Enderman. Salvi. Schatzer. Harvican. Finding Carbonell. Lifts it over the top and Capeta can't get there. Now a bounce on through to Johannes.
Yeah, not a bad idea from Carbonell, just looking to lift it into the path of Capeta. But a bit too much on it. And again, Wolfsburg, a decent move from Wolfsburg. Not really a decent move from Juventus, but not being able to execute it in the way they want. Been the story of the first 30 minutes so far. Is that Juventus haven't really been able to have the impact they would have wanted to.
Carbonell. Looking for a throw-in. Tries to find Bakari. Cut out by Huth. Around the corner from Minger and Harvican wins it high. And they look to be, well, referee looked to give a foul there, but plays advantage instead. Linda. Kierland. Battling away. Enderman flicking it forwards, and it's pulled back for a Wolfsburg free kick. Messy exchange there. Wolfsburg with the free kick.
I think messy is the right word to describe what this first 30 minutes has been for Juventus, because there's been some decent stuff, but it has just felt a little bit clumsy. There's been fouls in there. It hasn't quite come together. I thought we saw some really nice moves and some really nice football in that first leg, but it's just not materialising at the moment.
Malik asks, are you going to do a Women's World Cup prediction in 2027? Probably. It's a while away, but yeah, I reckon we will. Harvican clipping that out of play. Vialda with the throw. We've got a lot to predict before then. 2 Champions Leagues. Next year's WSL. But yeah, we will get round to it. Corner now for Wolfsburg. What can they create from this position? And well, Juventus, they can't afford to concede again. As much as they need to get a way back into this game, can't afford to concede again. Huth. Looks like she may go for the short option, but it will be put in there now by Kierland. Header towards goal, wide of the mark though. That was a great opportunity for Kuva. Just couldn't quite find the target.
Yeah. Again, Wolfsburg coming close, and a second goal would put them in complete control of this game. The header, not quite what Kuva was looking for, but not a terrible effort on goal.
Ball down the line, knocked out of play by Dijkstra. Throw in now for Juventus on the far side. Lenzini. And what can she make happen here? Into Bonansea, a bit clumsy there. Enderman coming back in, trying to make the challenge, ends up knocking it off the pitch.
Yeah,
corner for Juventus.
Bit of a needless corner to give away here, but Juventus have got to start using these set pieces. They've had 3 or 4 corners now that I don't think they've headed one of them goalwards.
Indeed, will it be the train leaving the station once again, or will they try something else?
They are changing it out. They're going to go back to packing out the penalty area.
So Schatzer. Good delivery. Godo can't quite get there. Kuva heads it away. Harvican back towards Carbonell, trying to create space for the cross. Run out of play there by Enderman. And another opportunity for Juventus.
Again, it's not a bad delivery, but I mean, is it too deep? If you're going to pack everyone into the front post, and they're swinging it in, towards the middle of the goal.
Well, I think they may want to swing it towards the middle of the goal for this one.
Oh my, what is happening?
Everybody has ran to the back post, very far off the back post.
Miles away. This is brilliant. We are seeing some very intuitive corner routines from Juventus.
Very unique.
None of them have paid off so far.
The referee there, I think, I don't know if she was asking about shirt pulling or just reminding the Juventus players where the goal is. But we'll find out surely whether this will work. It's taken short. Schatzer. Valti. Carbonell. Back to Valti. Will everyone make their move now? Slotted towards Schatzer. That's over here. I mean, it looks bad when it doesn't come off, but you can see what they were trying to do there.
You can. I mean, I'm really confused. I know they moved.
Well, I think they were waiting for their moment, weren't they? The longer they held it,
They're waiting for a ball
the
in.
more confusing it becomes.
But it just felt there were 3 players who were trying to work. Carbonell, Vouty and Schatz trying to work something, and the rest of the Juventus just stood there and watched.
But if that goes back to Schatz and she receives it, I mean, then does everyone make the movement?
Maybe.
Because you're expecting that ball, like that whole routine was planned. It's just that final ball there, or the ball before the final ball, really. But that pass into Schatz was poor, and saw that move break down.
And the problem is they can't use that routine again now because Wolfsburg know what they're going to do. Actually, do that. Because I'm still...
I was going to say, I don't think the Juventus players knew what they were going to do, so... Lanzini jumps onto it. Bakari can't quite hold on to it. Kierland going back to Bielda. And Wolfsburg build out from the back again. Chamador says, Leah, that's a simple pass indeed. Should have done better there. Hoover.
Yeah, I think that Juventus have struggled a little bit tonight.
Dijkstra sending it up the line. Bierenstein battling with Harvaken. And Harvaken wins it back. Schatzer. Salvi. Lifting it to the left-hand side. Carbonell cushioning it down well. Give and go with Godo. Carbonell trying there to find a forward pass. Can't quite. Wolfsburg coming the other way. Edemors. Minger. Kierland. Enderman. Offside position. She dropped from an offside position to receive that pass. And so Juventus now with a free kick. Ten minutes left of this first half. Juventus not able to find a goal just yet. Do you think it will happen before the half?
I don't think so. I don't think they're threatened enough. They'll be disappointed with the fact they haven't been able to put Wolfsburg under as much pressure. As I say, a lot of wasted corners, wasted opportunities. Nothing really clear cut so far. And I just don't see it materialising that they're not at the races at the moment. I don't think either side really are. Wolfsburg obviously got that early goal and have probably looked better on the ball, but neither of these teams are under loads of pressure at the moment.
Indeed. Kierland under pressure, and that will be a free kick now for Wolfsburg. Kuva. Now Dijkstra. Wolfsburg going forwards. Back to Kuva. Linda. Trying to be more direct here. Pedamor's stretching the play. Salvi trying to shuffle her wide. Really good challenge from Cecilia Salvi. And that took a touch off Pedamor's, who is reluctant to give the throw back to Salvi, who pushes her in an attempt to get back the ball. And there will be a conversation between the referee and the two players.
Clumsy from all involved. It's the right decision. It is a Juventus throw. Pedamore shouldn't hold on to the ball. Salvi shouldn't.
I don't think she does anything wrong there, Cecilia Salvi.
Yeah.
She's not the ball out of her hands and Pedamor's has sat down.
She put her arms around her.
Not enough to make her to make her fall to the
Oh,
ground.
no, but it's just been that kind of game. Just been a bit bitty. There's been not much rhythm to the game.
Hasn't flowed at all.
No.
I think it's just, when we think about the difference between this and the first leg, it's all been Juventus, really. The flow hasn't been there for Juventus. They haven't moved the ball particularly well. I think with Wolfsburg, there hasn't been a marked improvement on what they were doing in the first leg, but I do think the midfield balance is helping them a lot more. And obviously they found that goal because Juventus were too open on the counter. And sort of Wolfsburg were then able to hit them on the counter. Kierland towards the left-hand side. Enderman wants to come inside. Schatzer wins it back. Kierland again. Down the line to Linda. Plays it towards Beerenstein. One back by Salvi. Beerenstein, though, battles the ball off of her. Blocked well there by Lenzini. Bielda into Pedamores. Is she offside? Flag stays down for now. Ball in. Headed away. And the flag does go up as Bielda sets up to strike it and can't find the target.
Yeah, did look off to the naked eye. It wasn't, to be fair. But I think everyone, including Wolfsburg, thought that was offside.
Why bother delaying the flag if then within the same phase you raise the flag? Surely you let Bielda take the shot there, then flag it, and then VAR can check. I don't see the point with VAR in operation of flagging them when the ball's still active.
No, I don't think they're expecting the shot from Bielda. The ball got cleared and then they went for it.
Yeah, Bukhari wins it high here, takes aim. That's a really tame effort, and Kopeta in the box wanted that square ball, and there's her frustrations to Bukhari.
Why has she done that, Bukhari? Nicks the ball off Linda. She's in and just passes it back to Johannes. Had to either hit that with a lot more venom or just play the simple pass into Kopeta.
Yeah, way too tame a shot. It's a tight angle. You're not going to pull off a low and soft shot. Valti into Bukhari. Trying to shift it to Bonansea. It will find its intended target. Back to Valti. Wide to Carbonell, who tries to get back in there. Carbonell in towards the box. Kopeta slips over twice. Unable to find it. Schatzer. Now Salvi. Schatzer. Valti. Schatzer. Lenzini can't quite move it quick enough, and that will be a throw-in for Juventus. I think the midfield changes have almost flipped the complexion of this game, where we've gone from a very slow Wolfsburg team to a bit more of a direct Wolfsburg team, and we've gone from a very direct Juve team to a very slow Juve team. And I think putting in Schatzer just slows the game down a lot more. And I think when they had Brighton in there, while she's not as technically gifted as Ava Schatzer, it sped the match up a lot, even with Valti in there, who's obviously a great conductor. With Schatzer, it is just slowing it down. Bonansea tries to take on Linda and can't do so. Cleared away for a Juve throw.
Yeah, I think Schatzer can dictate and can just control, but it's the kind of game where they don't really want that. They want, if they were the underdog and were struggling to get on the ball, she's the kind of player you want just to give you a bit of possession, just to calm things down. But they want it. I think Juventus would want to lean into being a bit, moving it quicker, having a bit of pace to the game. That lack of control actually helped them to create a bit of a fast-paced game that they got the advantage of last week.
Throwing for Juventus on this near side. Carbonell. Valti. Finds Lenzini, who now takes aim from range, and that sailing over.
How many times we've seen that tonight for Juventus? Some really, really poor decision making. We've seen 3 or 4 just random efforts from 30, 40 yards out when they're on the ball. Really don't understand it. I think across the board, the decision making has just been wrong for Juventus tonight.
Johannes. Launching it forward. Beerenstein battling away with Harviken. And wins the ball. Lynette Beerenstein carries it forwards. Harviken falls down. Beerenstein takes aim. Fired to the side netting. Goal kick for Juventus.
Again, better from Beerenstein. Harviken's had better of her in almost all of those duels, but this time it's Beerenstein who gets the wrong side of the defender and manages to pick up the ball. Harviken commits. Probably the wrong decision. She blocks the cross, but the shot then comes in.
It's the first time that Beerenstein hasn't gone player first. You know, I think a lot of the time she's been looking for that contact. She's been looking to impose herself. That time she just tries to focus on the ball. And I think that is why she then wins the ball and is able to create that sort of scenario. I don't think she needs to shoot. I think she rushes that.
Yeah.
Bonansea. Great drive inside. Out wide to Bakari where there's space. Comes inside Bakari towards Godo. And it's between her legs. She can't quite bring it under her control. And that trickles through for Wolfsburg goal kick.
Tell you what, Juventus have pulled the trigger when they shouldn't have. To be fair, the pass is good. The pass, it's not a bad pass. And yeah, it just goes through the legs of Godo. Another decent chance, decent move from Juventus, but that final ball missing. They'll be frustrated that they're still trailing in this one.
Yeah, indeed. Johannes sends it forwards. 2 minutes of additional time in this first half. Salvi clips it to Bonansea. And knocked out of play by Linda, throwing for Juventus.
Would be perfect timing if they can nick a goal before half time at Juventus, but that final ball is just missing at the moment.
Indeed. Wolfsburg throwing then on the far side. Here's Linda. Into Beerenstein. Linda. Kuva. And now Johannes. Dijkstra. Bjelder goes down the line. Huth. Nice turn. Good challenge from Carver now. Chapilli, welcome to the stream. CBN Letter says, welcome to the stream as well. Says Juventus is playing like they did in the first leg, or at the end of the first leg. I thought they played like they did against Orleans in the 3-3 game. Yeah, they've lost a lot of that directness. I think that they are... the final ball's just not quite clicking, and they're not quite as direct as they have been in this competition. Pedamor's dispossessed. Bakari now. One back in there well by Pedamors, Huth, Kierland, Kuva. Wide into Linda. Here is Bjelder. Huth. Bjelder. Now Dijkstra. That is the half-time whistle here at the Allianz Arena. Juventus 0, VfL Wolfsburg 1. That goal from Enderman in the 18th minute being the only differentiator so far in this first 45. Both sides have had chances. Juventus have had more. Wolfsburg have had more clear cut. And at the end of the first half, it's Wolfsburg 1. Well, Juventus, no, sorry, Wolfsburg 1.
Yeah, difficult half for Juventus. Didn't really get going, and chances were of low quality, and the final ball was lacking for Wolfsburg. Well, if it wasn't for a brilliant breakaway after catching Juventus out of the pitch, this would probably be 0-0, and I think 0-0 would be the most fair result going into half-time. Neither side has really at the races so far, but it is Wolfsburg with the lead, and that's what matters, is that goal currently sending them through into the quarter-finals. But yeah, it's been a difficult half for both sides. Very stop-start. Neither side has really found a rhythm and got going in this game so far. Hopefully in the second half it will start to liven up a bit and pick up a bit of pace. But yeah, neither side really getting into it. But Wolfsburg doing exactly what we said they can do in the build-up, which is even when they're not at the races, they've been here before. They've found ways to win. And at the moment, despite not playing brilliantly, they are on course to get through.
Yeah, I think Wolfsburg executed one really good move. Outside of that, I do agree. I don't think they've been anything special. 63% of the ball, though, has been really strong. And holding on to the ball has made life difficult for Juventus. But it's kind of exactly what Juventus want to play against, a side who have a lot of possession. And there have been moments where you felt that there could have been a turnover and it's just not quite happened for Juventus, not quite won the ball back. I think I think this game has life in it still. Juventus have probably been the slightly stronger side, in my opinion. They've had more shots than Wolfsburg, with 7-6, more shots on target, with 4 to just 1 from Wolfsburg. But yeah, they ultimately haven't created anything too clear cut. But there have been opportunities in and around the penalty area where that final ball's just lacking, or they've misplaced a pass, or something along those lines, and it's just where it's falling down. But outside of that, it's been a very even contest. And the midfield battle has been fascinating to watch. Wolfsburg have got a lot more balance in there, with Pop out injured in this game. Kielan's come in, and I do think that midfield is a bit more balanced. For Juventus, I think Schatzer coming in has actually made them a little bit worse. I think it's just slowed the game down. I like Eva Schatzer. I think she's a really good player. But it's just slowed the game down a little bit too much. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes in the second half. But I think Juventus need to shift something in this game, whether that's personnel, whether that is, maybe that's tactics. I don't know. But they haven't been able to be as direct as they were in the opening game, but they're not far off it. I do think there have been moments where it's just that final ball that's lacking.
Yeah, it is. It's not been as smooth for them as it was in the first leg. They've found it very difficult to come by, and I think that's why that final ball isn't coming off, because it's a bit haphazard. When they are working it forwards, it's just about getting to players, or it's being poked in the right direction, and players are latching onto it, and it gets scrappy. But the final ball has to be better than that. You can't just get away. I mean, sometimes you can, but you can't just get away with poking a ball through, or managing to force it through into a good position. That's not going to happen. But yeah, that midfield has just become a little bit stodgy, and it looks like a bit of a chore for Juventus to progress the ball at the moment, to get it from back to front. It just feels very difficult, and then by the time they get there, the pass is misplaced and Wolfsburg turning over. But I thought they had real joy in the first leg at, getting the ball out to Bonacer, getting the ball out to Carbonell, and progressing up the pitch through the wide areas. But that's not materialised tonight at all. And I think that, again, the front two, Bakari's got on the ball a lot, but has often tried to go alone or made the wrong decision and lost the ball. And Capetta's really struggled to get into the game. So they're just struggling to progress the ball, because all the parts of the team that should do that aren't working. The midfield can't get it through. They can't progress it in wide areas, and going direct into the front two isn't coming off either at the moment. So their ways of getting the ball forward, Juventus, aren't working, and it's making it difficult for them to get through. And then even when they do get through, as we said, they're wasting it, and they're just turning the ball over and giving it back to Wolfsburg, who probably viewing it at the moment as just keep the ball now. 63% possession. If they do that in the second half, Juventus will not have very many opportunities to level this game up. So yeah, for Wolfsburg now, it's just about, if they keep themselves on the ball, then Juventus are going to find it very difficult to find the back of the net. And I think that it's one of those where Juventus, yes, possession looks low, but it's through their own doing. They should have done a lot more with the ball they have had, and they shouldn't really have given it as way as often as they were.
Yeah, Steven Letter says they could have waited till the end of the season to sell Pedro Magnin to Denver Summit, like Oleonis is doing with Lindsay Heaps. The goalkeeper's just not confident. I think for that first goal, she probably could have done a lot better, Dion. I think it's always very difficult. Clearly not a goalkeeper who's comfortable 1v1s, but you've got to narrow that angle down. You've got to try and make the striker's forward's decision for her, or sorry, not make it too easy. Instead, Enderman's got a clear shot at goal, and I think it was just too good a chance, really, for Vivian Enderman. And it's a few failings. I think Juventus, after the giveaway, and we'll watch the chance back now, after the giveaway in this position, the positioning of their side is so high, and Wolfsburg just very quickly move the ball forwards, and you can see they're trying to jump in. Lenzini jumps up. Now there's a lot of space opening up. Who's coming inside? Enderman's made the run beyond. Lenzini can't keep with her, and Enderman darts inside, and the ball's bobbling along, and she's able to find that shot. But they're just very open there, Juventus, and this is the problem, perhaps, which we haven't really seen anyone exploit. But when you do turn that ball over, when Juventus have come high up the field, those transitions is somewhere where they can be hurt, because you've got Lenzini in a role where she's not 100% perfect for, where she's playing that sort of right back role. So she jumps up and then gets caught. You've got the two centre halves there, neither of whom really deal with the situation. Neither of whom really, you want one to sort of cover and one to go and rush this ball. They both don't really do that. Godo's coming back in slowly. It's a really good pass from Sven Yehuf. But Juventus so easily there opened up by VfL Wolfsburg. I think too much space, too many gaps. They don't get back into their shape quick enough. They don't transition quick enough. And Wolfsburg, with pinpoint accuracy, I think you said, or pinpoint precision, play that counter-attack as a really nice move and exploited that space really effectively.
Yeah, I thought, it was really good from Wolfsburg. And again, I mentioned at the start about the quality of players like Sven Yehuf, and if Wolfsburg can get them on the ball tonight, they make the difference. And I mean, the pass from Huth is absolute top class. It's one of those where that ball has managed to take 4 players out of the game and put a player through on goal, and it's just perfectly weighted for Enderman to get onto and work with. And the first touch was good, but yeah, really well worked move. They got numbers forward quicker than Juventus reacted. I thought the reaction was actually really poor. Watching it back, and there's players jogging, and you can't afford to do that in these kind of games. You've got to bust a gut to get back in. Neither wing back was in sight there as they progressed, as Wolfsburg progressed forwards. But yeah, a really good move from Wolfsburg. Brilliant pass from Hoof, and Enderman did really well to finish it off. I thought she lacked a bit of composure last week. Had a couple of chances where she cut in or got into good positions, and they were being blasted well wide. But a good show of composure there from Enderman to find the back of the net.
Let's talk corners. Juventus with 5 in that first half, as they've really put Wolfsburg under a bit of pressure. But they didn't ever make any of them count for much.
No, I think they were disappointed. They tried a different routine on every single one of them, and not a single routine has worked so far. It was really bizarre.
You don't know what to expect.
You don't, and maybe their 6th or 7th corner will go in because of that, because they're just going to keep mixing it up. But
I can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, I mean, how many more routines have they got? Yeah. But yeah, they didn't threaten for them. I thought the balls in were pretty decent, but they weren't the right deliveries for what they were doing. We were seeing players, the first 1 or 2, the players really packed out the front post and the ball went to the back post. And then they moved the players to the back post and the ball went to the front post. And then we saw some weird short corner routine that ended up getting kicked off pitch by Valti. But yeah, they really haven't threatened from set pieces. When you're only having 37% of the ball, you have to make things like set pieces count. And they've wasted every single one of them. Free kicks, corners. Got to use them when you're up against it. Got to use them when you don't have a lot of the ball, because it gives you a chance to not only slow things down and take the pace out of the game, but to also put the opposition under pressure. And Juventus have been really wasteful from them. As I say, the deliveries haven't been too poor, but they just haven't lined up with the setup. If you're going to put players to the far post, the delivery's got to get there. And again, the reverse, or whatever you're doing, you've got to put the right ball in for the setup in the box. There's no point putting in a cracking delivery to the penalty spot if everyone stood in the corner of the box like they were at one point. But yeah, really wasteful Juventus from set pieces when you're struggling to progress the ball. When you get an opportunity in those kind of areas, you've got to start to take them.
Yeah, I think the other personnel issue that's affected Juventus has been changes for Wolfsburg's backline and Juventus' frontline. Emily Vangsgaard coming out of this game has been a bigger miss than I think most expected. But what Vangsgaard's really good at is pulling wide to receive, or pulling wide to create space. And what we're seeing instead is that the 2 forwards are very static on their centre halves. And then it's Godo that's trusted to drive wide, or Carbonell to overlap, and obviously Bonansera on the right-hand side. But what Vangsgaard did really well was that she was the left striker, and she was pulling Dijkstra out of position. And that just created a lot of space in that central pocket. But we're not seeing that. The other thing we're not seeing is that in that first leg, Capeta was up against Wedemeyer, not a natural centre-half, as she was the right striker and Wedemeyer the left centre-half. What we're seeing instead tonight is that Capeta's come to the left-hand side, where she is up against Dijkstra.
Yeah.
So receiving with the back to goal is harder, because Dijkstra's putting that pressure on and winning it back and being physical. And getting that space in behind is harder, because Dijkstra's better at marking it. And to a similar effect on the other side is Bakari trying to take on Kuva, who's really good at holding her up. And I do just wonder if they bring Vangsgaard in, put her on the left-hand side, and then put Capeta back to the right-hand side. Capeta, I think, has got a better chance of muscling off Kuva. Vangsgaard can drag Dijkstra out of space, and that could just create then the opportunity, a little bit of space in and around the area and in behind for Juventus to be able to exploit. So I think Vangsgaard's someone who's got to come back into this game. You can't change the opposition backline, unfortunately, but you can change your forward line. I think they can make it harder for Wolfsburg to do what they have been doing.
Yeah, Bakari's come in and looked bright, but I don't know whether it's a case of trying to do too much or just making the wrong decisions. But there's been a lot of times where she's been running around with the ball at her feet, trying to take 2, 3, 4 players on and getting dispossessed, or making the wrong decision, making the wrong pass and getting it wrong. And I think that, yeah, as you say, I think her response to being held up by Kuva has just been to try and run away from her, which sometimes has meant running off in the wrong direction or, kind of isolating herself. And I think that although she's got on the ball, she's not really bringing Capeta into the game. And that's what Vangsgaard did superbly. And, by doing that, Capeta scored a goal because that's the kind of player she is. You've got to get her into this game. And I think that she really hasn't had an impact. So I think by bringing on Vangsgaard, not only would you bring on a threat herself, but you'd also bring Capeta into this football match, which is going to be crucial if Juventus do want to win this game, because at the moment that front two just aren't working together. They don't like playing in the same team.
Yeah, I think for Bakari, she struggled with physicality. 30% jaws won in that first half is low, 3 out of 10. She's struggled to hold on to the ball, lots of unsuccessful crosses. I think what it is, the execution on final balls is lacking. And obviously that decision making at times, and she's lashing at shots. Most chance created of any player in the first half. But she hasn't really created anything clear cut. That was that ball across to Godo, which she didn't quite find. That was a great opportunity. Didn't quite come together. She was involved in that ball that went across the face of goal from Bonansea. No one could quite meet that one. They've been close, Juventus, but they're not quite there. And I think one change, and I think that it does make them look a lot stronger. A Vangsgaard coming on, or a change in midfield. Maybe they give them a little bit more energy, a bit more steel in there. Could work. Players emerging though for half time. Doesn't look like there's any changes for Juventus.
No, just trying to see there who is returning. Capeta's definitely back out, so we know there's at least one of the front two is remaining on there. But yeah, they need some sort of reaction. Juventus, they've got to find a way back into this game. Only a goal margin though, and they're at home. They'll back themselves to get going. But as I say, for VfL Wolfsburg, it's one of those where they'll look at this and think, if we can have 60% of the ball yet again, we can limit what Juventus can do, and we can make sure that we see this tie through and get through into the quarterfinals. But yeah, Capeta there receiving some very animated instructions from one of the Juventus coaching staff. I'd love to know what he was trying to demonstrate with that movement, but he was very active, and if Capeta can be that active and on her toes, then maybe she'll find a way past Dijkstra in this second 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think energy is the one, isn't it? Where is that energy gonna come from to perhaps change this game? So yeah, I mean, if Capeta can be more active, then yeah, I think that can change things. But we'll see how it goes in the second 45. It is going to be Wolfsburg to get us back underway. So what can they make happen with Wolfsburg from the middle? Not back, and we're back underway in this match. It's Juventus a goal behind against Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg winning 3-2 on aggregate. Can they see it out away from home? Can Juventus find a way back into this game? Bakari, Bonansea dragged down. Free kick for Juventus.
Yeah, it's important they start faster, Juventus. They won't want to allow Wolfsburg to get back onto the ball and get back into a good position. You're already trailing by a goal. Don't let Wolfsburg settle. Try and level this tie up as early as possible in this second half. And then from there, it's all to play for once again.
Indeed, Juventus trying to come forwards. Blocked well. And the ball sent forward from Wolfsburg, looking there for Beerenstein. Now it's with Bonansea. Pass inside. Shot from Satterweiss, blocked, lifted back out towards Bakari. He's trying to create the angle for this cross. Ball in. Cleared away well. Come back now with Lenzini. Great challenge in there. Recovered by Harvacum. A lot of rotation for Manchester United, by the way. Tyler's choice in goal. Back four of Janssen, Turner, Letisse and Lundqvist. Midfield three is Zigotioma, Miyazawa and Nalsund. Park, Schuler, Mallard, the front line. No Turland. who was probably their best player against Atletico last week. Make sure to join us for that game at the conclusion of this one. Ball in behind. Chance out for Capeta, blocked well by Dijkstra.
Yeah, big block from Dijkstra. Better from Juventus. Getting Capeta onto the ball. I think the flag may have gone up. Yes, it has. So no corner. We didn't get to see what their sixth routine of the night was going to be. I don't think that is offside. Good movement. Does manage to give herself half a yard. Dijkstra, they followed her well. In the end, doesn't matter.
Yeah, indeed. So Wolfsburg build out from the back. And it's Johannes who will launch this one forwards, trying to be a bit more direct. Headed one by Salvi. Now Schatzer. Godo out towards the left-hand side. Here's Estelle Carbonell. Down the line, picked off in midfield, and the ball slipped in behind as Berenstein gone too early there. Flag stays down, across the box, Salvi intervenes. And the flag remains down and then does go up after the play, and it's offside. I love when players complain afterwards so they don't know the flag's going to be delayed.
Oh no.
Looked like she was onside anyway.
Miles onside. That is a really bad decision. You could see with the grass lines there that it was Salvi in the middle was stood on the light patch.
I have to say it looked offside to the naked eye though, so I understand why they came to that decision. But I mean, I think if I was that angle, I probably would have noticed. Poor pass back from Bielda. Corner for Juventus. Made a mess of that one.
What is happening? First 3 minutes of second half, and neither side has ever played football before. Really, again, bit of a. It's not such a scrappy, isn't it? It's
corner taken short. Schatzer back towards Vauti. Touched on to Estelle Carbonell. Back towards Vauti. Back to Carbonell. Back towards Schatzer. Can it go in the box now? Good delivery. Can anyone meet it? Touchdown. Bakari blocked well. Great chance for Juventus. Lenzini. Bakari. Bonansea. Back to Bakari. Poked inside. Headed away. Corner Juve. That was better.
Much better. That's the routine they tried in the first half, but Vauti got the pass wrong this time. They did manage to work it to Schatzer in space, and nobody in a Wolfsburg shirt picked her up. Really poor. But Juventus worked it well, and Bakari's effort was charged down by one of the German defenders.
They slipped over in there and almost gave the ball away, and they still made it work.
I think I try it again. No.
Now there is a cluster of bodies in the penalty area. And what is the routine on this occasion? Schatzer. Looks like she'll deliver it. Ball in, into a dangerous area, headed on. Carbonell on hand to recycle the ball. Good ball in. Salvi flicks it and flicking it over the bar.
Yeah, good couple of corners from Juventus. Much better routines. Actually getting the ball into the box and threatening.
This was that move again. Vauti losing out. Carbonell did really well to get it back to Schatzer. That's a fantastic ball. Salvi just about kept it alive, and Bakari's effort was blocked.
I'll tell you what's brilliant from Salvi on the floor. Because it looked like the ball was just going to run through, but she managed to get her legs to it, trap it, and roll it back into to set Bakari up.
Dijkstra. Huth. Dispossessed by Schatzer. Down the line from Carbonell. Nice football. Can't quite keep it in touch, though. Did take a nick off a Wolfsburg player. Thrown for Juventus.
Much better. Really positive start to the second half from Juventus. Exactly the way they needed to react.
Dodo can't hold on to that ball. Poked away, and the Juventus throw in again. Vauti. Schatzer. Salvi. Out towards the left-hand side. And Carbonell can't quite bring it under her control. Throw in with Bielda. Goes down the line. Schatzer tries to win it back in there. There's not a load of contact. It will be a free kick for Wolfsburg as Huth goes down.
Yeah, that's an awkward one for the referee. Huth goes down, holds her ankle and falls on top of the ball. and you've got to give either a foul or an obstruction from Hoof.
It's soft.
It is soft. I think it's the easier decision to give there, especially because it's in the Wolfsburg half. It then goes the other way where it would feel soft if you gave that as an obstruction and Juventus got a chance to whip it in the box.
Shadows, there's no Rolpo, no Sandberg, no Turland, and no Riviere. Yeah, no Riviere obviously hobbling off at the weekend. Sandberg is now out for between 4 to 8 weeks, about 2 months. Ball forwards looking for Godo. Likely she'll miss both the FA Cup round of 16 tie and the League Cup final. 2 big games for United, and likely both Champions League quarter-finals should United progress. Huth carrying the ball for Wolfsburg. Who can she pick out? Cuts it back now to Kierland. Huth, Kierland. Pedimors down the line. And that's really good defending from Vouty. Knocks it out of play, and it will be a Wolfsburg throw. I think Vouty fairly unhappy with the decision to give that as a Wolfsburg throw.
Yeah, there's a couple of Juventus players on that far side who felt that was their ball. It didn't look it, but it's one of those where there's probably a nick that they could see from being 2 yards away, but it's going to be a difficult one to spot for everyone else.
Wide towards Enderman. Loose touch, but makes it work. Pass inside to Pedimors. Cutting it back. And turned over by Juventus. Bonansea pass inside is one high. Minga, Huth, blocked. And Carbonell will get to the ball. Sent forwards, picked off by Bielda. Wide to Huth. Kierland. Bierenstein. Rolls well and goes down under pressure, but it's a clean challenge from Harviken. Capeta trying to lift it towards Bakari. Good recovery from Kuva. Goes back to Johannes.
Rushed a little bit, I think, from Capeta. It didn't need to go first time. Or if you are going to knock it there, go wider. Give Bakari a lot, more chance of getting there.
Ooh. Poor pass inside. Picked off by Vouty. Schatzer. Across now into Godo. Opens up space for the shot and just gets under it too much. Puts it over the bar. Nice move though. Vouty probably should have looked left.
Yeah.
Schatzer managed to squeeze it back towards Godo. She only really had one option by that point, and that was to try and take the shot on. I think you'd want to test the goalkeeper at the very least there though.
Yeah. She got herself half a yard and then felt the pressure coming from Bielda and rushed it a little bit.
I don't know why you try and curl towards the front post. I think you're always going to put too much on it. You've got to think from that position, curl across goal. Or just put power on it. Just, your hands have spilt a couple already today.
Yeah.
Minga. Here's Linda. Kuva. Tries to play it forwards. Pedimors can't get there. Stepping up well is Harviken. Godo takes it in her stride after a foul from Wolfsburg. Advantage played. Forced backwards now. Carbonell. Vouty. Nice turn out towards Lenzini. This is good from Juve. Lenzini. Bonansea. Cuts it back. Chance for Bakari should score. Big block. Rework. Capeta overhead kick is off the bar. Bounces around the box. Schatzer creates room for the shot. That's blocked as well. Recycled to Vouty. Vouty looks right. Lenzini. Ball in. Missed. Cleared away. And Enderman driving the ball forwards for Wolfsburg. How on earth, Juventus haven't found a route to goal. One back by Salvi. Bakari to Vouty. Back to Salvi. 2 players on the deck right now. Lenzini back to her feet. Vouty.
Wow.
Into Harviken. Vouty. Lenzini. Down the line. Bonansea. Puts it across. Needed more on that. Cleared away. And hooked up in the air by Minga. Competed for by Lenzini. Pass inside to Bakari. Well held up by the forward. One back by Kierland and hooked away and out of play.
Respite for Wolfsburg. How have Juventus not found the equaliser? What a spell for Juventus. Brilliant play down the right-hand side. Bonansei's cut back into Bakary. Her shot probably should have been better, but it was a big block. Flicked up towards Capeta with the overhead kick, hitting the crossbar.
Carbonell ball in. Capeta controls well on the edge of the area. Now Bakary. Wider to Bonansea. Darts inside with danger. Bakary. Trying to create space for the shot. Does so wildly. Kuva, though, takes a touch on it. Capeta trying to see it out of play, and that will be a corner to Juventus.
Really good football from the home side. They are going for this game, and it's linking up nicely. We spoke about it not being smooth in those attacking areas, but they are moving it much nicer. Bakary, Bonansea, Capeta, all linking up really well at the moment, and Wolfsburg are struggling to contain them.
They've had all the possession. 69% in the second half compared to just 36% in the first half. Ball in. And that doesn't beat the first player, and Enderman clearing it. And that will be a Juventus throw. Now we'll see some of those shots again. Bakary on the cutback. Should have scored straight at Dijkstra. Capeta was so unlucky. Hits the bar. Nothing more she could have done there. Schatzer tried to create room for it. And the recycled effort unable to be met. That should have been a goal.
What an effort from Capeta.
Yeah, can't ask any more of Capeta there. Johannes was beaten. The crossbar reverberating, though.
They are throwing everything at Wolfsburg at the moment.
Throw in to Bakary. Takes it in her stride well. Needs support. Brilliant footwork from Chiara Bakary. Enderman on hand to smash it away. Werenstein got away from Harvick, and a foul in there, though. And a free kick for Wolfsburg.
Yeah, I think it must have been something after the ball had been played. But yeah, Juventus will be thinking how on earth they're not levelling this game once again. Because they had their chances. I mean, there was about 5 chances in that one move there.
Indeed. Kuva. Kierland now carries it forwards. Svenja Huth knocks it into Enderman, who squares it to Beerenstein, who turns, takes aim, saved well. And a messy exchange is into the grateful clasp of De Jong.
Yeah, much better from Wolfsburg. Playing it through the lines. Enderman, great pass into Beerenstein, who, as she spins, loses her balance and is on the way down. And I don't think she actually, doesn't actually make any contact with the ball in the end.
But more like some sort of Winter Olympic sport, like skating, the way that she went round there.
Brilliant pirouette, but completely lost her footing.
And Juventus to get us back underway, not too far from the Winter Olympics here in Turin.
This game has sparked into life, though.
Lenzini. That's a throw in for Juve. Goes down the line. Bakary holds it up well. Salvai sends it up the line. Touched out of play by Dijkstra. Throw in for Juventus. Launched down the line by Lenzini. Headed away by Linda. Lenzini again. Looking for support. Goes down the line. Bonansea. Inside now. Towards Pedamors. Picked off by Schatzer. Lenzini. That's blocked. Thrown for Juventus. Lenzini. Bakary nods it on. Cleared away by Pedamors. Harvick dispossessed. Beerenstein. Huth looks for Lynette Beerenstein. Breaking forwards here. Can she take aim? She can. Good stop from De Jong, who pushed it away. Schatzer. Lenzini brought down, and a free kick to Wolfsburg. Somewhat surprised by that decision. But a big save from De Jong to deny Lynette Bierenstein.
Yeah, does well, De Jong. Again, Harvigan gets this one wrong. From the very direct ball from Wolfsburg, it's a good save from De Jong. Caught nicely by Bierenstein. But yeah, 2 good palms from De Jong.
Double change forthcoming then for VfL Wolfsburg. Vivian Enderman withdrawn. Kessia Bussi in her place. Bielda likewise taken off, with Wedemeyer coming on at right back. I mean, again, Enderman off.
Yeah, bit harsh.
I know you don't really want to take off Huth, but I think it's a rough one again. Kierland. Good delivery towards the back post. Header wide of the mark, and Kuva visibly frustrated with herself there. Would have wanted to find the target.
Yeah, should do better. Should do a lot better. She just peels off of Carbonell at the back post and should really direct that header on target, but wide of the mark.
Bonansea passed inside. Godo touches it on. Schatzer looking wide. Keeps carrying it forwards. Here's Capeta. Can't quite bring that under her control. Jostle for possession, and it will be a free kick there for Wolfsburg. Too aggressive from Ana Capeta.
Yeah, Juventus still battling away. The intensity's there. And they are, 27 minutes. Still only need a goal. And they're still right in this game. But they've got to find a way to get past Johannes. While also not conceding again. That'll be the only concern. Of course, they're going to go for it, be more aggressive, but that is leading to more of an end-to-end game.
Shaudor says, Schatzer makes strange passes sometimes. She should play that out wide. I think it's easy to forget if Schatzer's only 21. And I don't know if this is the kind of environment I'd have started her in tonight. Ball in behind. Harvigan did well there, just shielded the ball. Bierenstein bringing her down. Free kick for Juventus. Quite a clear shove from Bierenstein, who tried to protest her innocence. To little avail. I think Godo has really struggled as well. Lost the most duels out there of any player with 10. I just don't know if it's been her kind of game.
Yeah.
I think maybe a Brighton in there, or a Pinto. I don't know why Tatiana Pinto hasn't featured in these games. I thought she was really good in the league phase. So yeah, I think maybe that could be a change as well. Bring Pinto on, or at least an Avi Brighton. But then I think that just makes you a bit too defensive. See, I'd look at Pinto. I'd look at Van Skaard, spilt out by De Jong and offside. And I think there probably could have been a call for a foul in there as well. But Juventus free kick.
Yeah. Again, a little bit messy from Juventus. The ball through from Bierenstein to Bussi. Did have Bussi in an offside position, but between Salvine and De Jong, they still made a bit of a meal of it.
I think that was more because the whistle went though, because for the offside.
Maybe.
Now if you look at the way it spills out, and she just doesn't bother, doing anything.
Yeah.
It's not like, they've blown the whistle after she's made the mistake. Valti. Bussi does well, and that comes off of Kessia Bussi. Free kick for Juventus. For Juventus on this near side. Lenzini looking to go up the line, and does so. Headed away by Kierland, flicked on by Pedamors. Lenzini fashions a pass towards Harvigan, who's under pressure here from Huth. Godo. Astea Carbonell comes inside, forced backward to Harvigan. Drills it forwards, controlled well by Carbonell. Now Godo. Shimmies inside with the ball, she'll drive it forwards here, and she's pulled back there fairly egregiously by Yanina Menga, who will be the first player, I believe, into the book this evening.
Yep. First one, taking 66 minutes, but probably the most obvious one of the night.
Yeah, you can't pull. Well, clip back. I thought it was a bit of a pull, but no, she just clips her. Fairly obvious yellow card. So Minga cautioned for that. Free kick Juventus. Not a bad position for this either. Everyone looks over at the sidelines. Changes forthcoming. and it is a double change for Juventus. I thought there may have been a hell of a lot more subs than there were. There was a mess of black and white. It is going to be a triple change, sorry. Girelli throwing everybody there.
Yeah, she hadn't taken off her bib.
Indeed. So, Krumbiegel, Girelli and Vangsgaard onto the field. A change on both sides of the front line and at one of the wing-back positions. So, withdrawn are Bakari, Capeta and Harviken. So, that's a shape change, that. A very aggressive shape change.
They're going for it. Kanzi wants to win. He wants to stay in this Champions League.
So, yeah, I'm intrigued. Krumbiegel goes into a sort of a right-back role. Ball in from Valti. Girelli tries to bring it down. Can't quite control it in there, and it's hooked clear.
So, yeah,
An offside flag up against Cristiana Girelli. Not a great way to introduce herself.
No. But still a player that could definitely pull something out of the hat for Juventus.
Oh, I mean, a Girelli goal here.
Oh, it's incredible. But yeah, between her and Godo, they kind of got in each other's way.
Yeah, so change across the front line. It looked more like a 4-4-2 now. Almost a 4-4-2 diamond with how high Schatzer's looking. Godo's gone towards that. Is definitely gravitating more towards the left-hand side now. Which she has been a lot anyway. Schatzer almost playing as a tap midfielder, and Vouty just will deal with anything defensive.
Yeah. Ooh.
Shielding that back for Minga, almost dispossessed, then does lose the ball. Here's Vanguard, brings it under her control. Ball into the box. Can't quite find Girelli. Cleared for a throw, and it's recycled quickly. Forza Girelli says, Luca Morgan, welcome to the stream. Forza Girelli, indeed. Can she make something happen?
Massive 22 minutes now. Juventus have made their changes. That's the roll of the dice. Bringing on Girelli, bringing on Vangsgaard. They want to take this tie to extra time, maybe even win it in the 90.
Krumbiegel. Girelli round the corner. Vangsgaard's in on goal. What a save from Johannes. Outrageous stop. Too easy here. Linda conceding possession. It's put into the box. Girelli touches it down, and Vangsgaard denied only by the fingertips of Johannes.
Incredible. What a stop that is from Johannes.
It's a right-footed shot, and it was always, curving away from goal, and it only required a little touch. I think she's got to hit it with the left there, but obviously Vangsgaard, a very right-footed player.
That was nearly the 3 substitutes combining for the goal.
Yeah. Corner. Delivered by Schatzer. Too close to Johannes.
Got to be better
And
than that.
The worst corner of them all.
Yeah.
Johannes launching. Bussy will chase down Krumbiegel, who sees it out of play. And Juve have to have the urgency now. 21 minutes to go. I mean, it feels... There's still a lot of time. It feels like they need to score in the next minute. They had time in this game.
They're going for it like they've only got 5 minutes left.
But I like that.
Yeah.
A lot of teams just wait too long. Girelli, great intensity. Here's Schatzer. Out towards the left-hand side. I think there'll also be a bit of Juve where they go, if we can score now, we can take the momentum, we can kill this game. We can win it before the 90. Ball in from Carbonell, blocked by Huth. Estea Carbonell keeps it in touch. Back to Schatzer. Valti. Now to Lenzini. Krumbiegel holding the width. Bussy out to her well. Krumbiegel drives inside with the ball, trying to shift it there into the runner. Girelli. Would have been marvellous if they'd pulled it off. Wolfsburg hack it clear. Lenzini back down the line. Krumbiegel holds on to it well. Bonansea pokes it forwards, takes a touch, and Godo won't get there. Ball launched up the line. Beerenstein gives chase. They look along the line for the flag, which stays down. Beerenstein in towards Bussy. Vouty winning it back, and she's able to shield it back to De Jong well. And Juve will go quickly. Out towards the left-hand side. Godo takes a positive touch. Wants to take on Janina Minga here, who obviously can't afford to make another challenge. Out towards the left-hand side. A poor challenge from Vedermeyer. She may go into the book afterwards, but Vangsgaard comes forward across the box.
Oh.
No one able to meet it. Krumbiegel out to recycle. No one gets out to her. Can she redeliver? Blocked well by Linda as she does get out there eventually. And the keepers hit the deck. Johannes needs a breather because they are up against it at the moment. Wolfsburg. Juventus throwing everything at them. Can't quite find the finishing touch.
What a ball from Vangsgaard. And the only criticism you can have is that Girelli and Bonansera have made the same movement. One of them has got to go towards that. There's got to attack the goal. But they both just sat on the 6-yard line. Girelli threw herself at it but couldn't get there. 2 Wolfsburg players down on the deck in their own 6-yard box here. They are feeling it at the moment.
Minga needs to, Minga getting back up. She had to. Because as I think her teammates may have pointed out, if she requires treatment, they've got to face this corner without her.
Yeah.
Johannes will get treatment though.
But Girelli was about half a foot away from getting something on that Vangsgaard ball in. And it's the kind of situation where any contact there, and you beat the keeper because you're that close to goal.
Show it says tactical timeout. I don't think it is, because no one's gone over to the bench, and instead Johannes is. It does look to be in some genuine discomfort, and the coolest looking physio I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Wearing team coloured glasses.
I rate that.
I mean, you got to. But
yeah, this doesn't look.
That's a man who, regardless of what his job is always gonna have some drip.
Yeah.
But
this does not look good for Johannes.
No. Not at all. Not the kind of environment you want to be bringing on a bench goalkeeper.
Absolutely not.
She will return to her feet. I think she will be all right to continue, but she's been a little shaky anyway. Now with that on her mind as well, would likely be 31-year-old Martina Twfc if she was to be substituted here. Corner for Juventus. Valti and Schatzer over this.
Got to be a good delivery.
Schatzer sticks it on top of the goal. And you can see what she was trying to do there, but it just doesn't quite come off.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, you're just in the goal kick go down. You want to put it on top of her, but yeah, that's not what was desired.
No.
Got all those players in there. You've got to try and find someone.
I think she just wanted to try and get it in the goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just didn't quite come off. And a delay here from Johannes, and she'll be booked. And I like that for the referee. Because it's quite easy that it can become persistent from a goalkeeper, and only then does the referee give it. But Johannes time wasting, and he's booked, and she'll have to hurry them up from it, or risk being sent off. Salvite heads it forward to Valti. And she's brought down by Bussy. Free kick for Juventus. Krumbiegel takes it quickly, and that was definitely the wrong decision with how poor a pass that was. Astea Carbonell brings it under her control eventually. Godo back towards Carbonell. A rash challenge in there that missed her from Vedemai, who's been all over the place since she's come on. Valti. Lenzini. Now Krumbiegel. Finds Vangsgaard in the box. Wants to turn. Kuva needs support. Cuts it back. Carbonell's touch is heavy and Vedemai gets it gone. Schatzer. Wide with Godo. Schatzer overlaps. Godo comes inside. Now uses Schatzer, who swings it in. Their chance for Krumbiegel at the back post. Can't meet it. And Bonansea will chase down the football and can't quite keep it in touch. But it will be a Juventus throw. Must have taken a nick off a Wolfsburg player in there. Schatzer with the ball in. Didn't make any contact.
Wow, another teasing ball in, this time from Schatzer. And Juventus just can't quite get on the end of any of these crosses, but they've kept it alive again.
Shot from range, Johannes. Clutching that to her chest.
I don't mind that from Schatzer. She's just put it, it's a half shot, half through ball. And either it goes in or maybe a teammate can get onto it. Not a bad attempt.
Schatzer picks up on that loose ball. She's come to life in this second half. Really struggled, I think, in the first. Just slowed it down too much. But the urgency's there for Juve and she's thriving.
Yeah.
In a bit more of a chaotic midfield. Valti. I also think she's been free to play higher. Valti's just dropped into lone defence midfielder role. And we're just seeing Schatzer play that higher role. Krumbiegel, lovely footwork down the line to Bonansea. Linda stands her up. Krumbiegel, Valti. Switch to the left-hand side now. Salvi carries it forwards. Now to Estea Carbonell. Takes a touch. Delivers. Girelli heads wide to the far post. Cristiano Girelli. What a moment that would have been for the veteran striker. Just couldn't quite direct it goalwards. Oh, that was close. That was very close from Girelli. Bounces wide at the far post. And Wolfsburg feeling the pressure, looking to make a change.
Wow. What a chance for Juventus. The ball in from Carbonell was brilliant. Girelli's movement, the header was good. Just looked to flick it into the far corner, but couldn't quite find it.
I'm enjoying Shamadizzle's autocorrecting Girelli. Earlier she said beautiful flick by Fireflies. Now it's no firelight. Couldn't quite find the target.
Oh, it's a great header. Such a good header. Oh,
Cooper with ball by the way for Bergsvand. Wolfsburg trying to build out. Cleared away by Kierland. And Salvi will get there. And it's a positive header. Headed on. Here's Carbonell. Drives inside with the ball. Pokes to Stolen Godo. Now inside to Carbonell. Bussy wins it back. And it will be driven forwards by Yanina Mingo. It takes a touch off Bonansea. And Kanzi keen to get it moving quickly. Gets it to Sardai Linda and Wolfsburg now have to play. Bergsvand. 12 minutes of normal time remaining. Ball into midfield. Picked off well in there by Valti. Vangsgaard. Takes aim. That's a good stop from Johannes. Just couldn't quite drive the power through the shot. I don't know how Wolfsburg are still in front in this game.
Incredible. Juventus are putting them under all kinds of pressure.
But 19 shots in this game from Juventus.
Wow.
Vangsgaard flicking on, headed away. Minga will compete. Brilliant from Vauti. Godo gets around Vedermeyer. Vedermeyer now gets back in. Godo takes her on and beats her. Ball into the box. Girelli can't get there. Vangsgaard can't get there. Bergsvand clears. Valti now recycles. Schatzer. Here's Lenzini. Schatzer. Wide into Krumbiegel. Back to Lenzini. And now Salvi. Out towards the left-hand side. Overhit from Salvi.
This is drama. This is brilliant. Exactly why they changed the format to give us incredible contests like this. Juventus are throwing the kitchen sink at Wolfsburg right now. And the Germans are just about fending them off. But Juventus have had chance after chance and they're going to get more in the final 10 minutes, you feel.
Yeah, it's just where they can force one over the line, really. They're there, Juventus. They're in the red zone. Can they find a route to goal? Bussy back now to Linda. And that's a throw-in for Wolfsburg on this near side. And Linda will try and slow this down as much as she can get away with. Referee's not one for allowing this kind of shenanigans, and Linda killing a few about 20 seconds there. Krumbiegel battles away against Bussy. Bussy touches towards Beerenstein. Vauti wins it back. Salvi to Schatzer. Krumbiegel, Schatzer. Down the line, Bonansea. Back towards the runner, Schatzer. Bergsvand on hand. Smashes out of play. And Juve with a throw in half the field and a yellow card for Sardai Linda. Committed a late foul. I think Juventus may get a free kick. Krumbiegel takes it quickly. Referee not happy. She needs to make a note of Sardai Linda's name.
Yeah. Linda there just catching Bonansea as the ball trickled out of play. So I'm surprised Juventus aren't turning this into a dead ball situation. Why aren't they turning in this into a ceremonial free kick? I think they might now. To be fair, I've got to throw it into the box.
Vauti to take. That's lots of movement from that from that Juventus line, and Valti knocks it back. Lenzini, Valti, a little more space now for delivery. Carrying it up the line. Needs some support. Back to Schatzer. Players in the area. Schatzer. Salvi. Wide to Carbonell. Wedemeyer close to the angle. Carbonell comes forward. Ball in. Not a great delivery. Cleared away. Calls of handball from Juventus. Seem half-hearted. Lenzini. Schatzer. Into Godo. Carrying the ball forwards. Carbonell. Needs support. Schatzer is there. Cleared by Wedemeyer. And now Lenzini. Bonansea. Lovely footwork from Barbara Bonansea. Krumbiegel. Tries to take on Linda. Blocked by Sare Linda. Corner for Juventus.
Again, Juventus keeping the pressure onto Wolfsburg. They're all over them. Wolfsburg cannot get out their own penalty area at the moment. And Juventus making another change, yet another aggressive change. Cambiaghi's coming on. Coming on for Schatzer. So throwing another forward into the equation. Vangsgaard, Girelli and Cambiaghi all on the pitch for Juventus.
I don't know, taking off Schatzer was the right call.
You do need someone
to put it in there.
Yeah.
But I get it. That's going to be a lot of presence in the penalty area. Surely someone of that three has to get their head on the ball. Delivered in. Headed up in the air. Cambiaghi looks to keep it alive. Nice movement, ball in. Minga steers it clear. Corner again for Juventus.
Just got to keep the pressure on Juventus. These corners haven't been brilliant in the last couple tries, but they've got another opportunity here. And as you say, with the amount of forwards and tall presences in the penalty area, they've got to use it, but they've gone short.
Now Carbonell's is blocked as she tried to cross it in. Heads it down the line. Huth, Krumbiegel, Carbonell. Carries it forwards brilliantly. Carbonell cleared down the line. Another throw in. Magic says, come on, Juve. Yes, let us know in the live chat. Will Juve find an equaliser or Wolfsburg be progressing into the quarterfinals? Time ebbing away here from the hosts. Vangsgaard dragged back by Dijkstra. Free kick for Juventus in a really good area.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant from Vangsgaard in the wide area. Draws the foul. She looks to spin away. And Dijkstra holding her all the way there, not allowing her to turn. And of course, it's got to go in the box, and it will. And there are so many white shirts flooding into the Wolfsburg penalty area.
Indeed. Well, surely they don't take this one short now, do they?
Got to be a good ball from Valti.
All the presence in the box. Referee shuffles to the edge. Salvi at the back post. A cluster at the front. Who can meet this ball? Valti lifts it in there. Punched away by Johannes. Carbonell tries to keep it alive, but it's Bussy who comes away with the ball. Now Huth, but Bussy barreled over. Knocks it down the line, and it'll be Salvi who'll get to that one. And Juventus now have to move this ball quickly. De Jong.
I'm so surprised Carbonell backed out of the challenge with Bussy on the edge of the area. If she throws herself in there, there's a good chance you get fouled yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Krumbiegel, Godo. Valti reads the game brilliantly as who throws herself in there. Carbonell. Valti. Wide to Krumbiegel. Knocks it down the line. Carbonell. Ball in. Girelli could get there. Ball to Krumbiegel. Saved by Johannes. What a stop. It was Vangsgaard who delivered. Girelli couldn't quite get there. Punched away by Johannes, who had to retreat. Fell to Krumbiegel, and what a stop.
Incredible from Johannes. First of all, the hand to take it off the head of Cristiano Girelli at the back post, and then to tip Krumbiegel's effort over the bar. Juventus just cannot find a way past her this evening.
Juve corner, and Wolfsburg try to slow with substitutes, but they will take this. Valti puts it in there, Header up in the air. Kept alive now. Girelli goes to the acrobatics. Doesn't quite come off. Falls for Valti. Flips it back. Krumbiegel puts it back in there. It's cleared to Carbonell. It touches through. It bounces around. Bierenstein hooks it out. Throw into Juve.
Incredible. Brilliant pressure from Juventus. They are trying everything.
A double change from Wolfsburg to take the sting out of this game. Yanu Labels and Korozike coming onto the field. And that will be the end of the game for Lynette Bierenstein.
Going to take their time coming off it.
Indeed.
I'm expecting quite a bit of added time for Juventus to try and find a way through.
Yeah, you would hope so, just to prolong what's been a fantastic contest. Pedamor's the other player that makes way. Wolfsburg with a back five, most likely now then.
They just need players to pack out their own penalty area. Bodies on the line now for Wolfsburg. They are 3 minutes plus added time away from a quarter-final. They've got to make sure they get there.
Yeah, I just think they're taking off a bit of height there with Pedamor's. I get they're going to a more defensive shape, but what will happen? Ball thrown in. Brilliant from Cambiaghi, who's dragged down in the box. Referee not interested, and you will assume VAR will have a look, and it will indeed.
No, not for me. No, Cambiaghi throws herself on the floor. Worth a try at this point in the game.
Absolutely. Throw in on the far side. Carbonell down the line, headed out. Throw in once again as Wedemeyer nodded out of play. Vangsgaard does well to keep that from Zikai. One back in there by Valti, who almost loses it. Lenzini now launches up the line. Carbonell headed away. Lenzini catches one in the face, plays through it, and cleared away by Dijkstra. Throw-in goes down the line, and again Dijkstra quick to react. Salvai lifted out to the left-hand side. Carbonell, ball in, bounces through and headed away. Girelli working hard to try and get there, and does get there, but knocks it out of play in the process.
What an intervention that was. Couldn't quite see who it was at the back post for Wolfsburg, but a header that just took it away from two on-rushing Juventus players. And again, Wolfsburg survive. I'm really intrigued to see how many minutes we're going to get added on here. Although Wolfsburg have lost the ball again.
Valti. Vangsgaard. Ball in. Bounces through and cleared away by Labels. Lenzini. Now Krumbiegel. Looks to knock it up the line and chips it forward, looking for Godo. Too much on that, and that will run for a goal kick.
6 to play.
6 minutes of additional time in this contest. Can Juventus muster up an equaliser? Kevin says, player of the match, Johannes.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, probably.
Has kept their side in this game.
Some big stops. Bonansea heads it forward. Girelli brings it down, flicks it over the top. Cambiaghi will get there. Bergsvan brings her down. It was clumsy. And, Juventus are furious. Surely VAR will have a look at this. It was definitely clumsy from Bergsvan. I think she'll get away with it, though.
Yeah.
Ball bouncing through. Krumbiegel under pressure. Bussy wins it back. Krumbiegel battles. And now Labels. Krumbiegel holds her up. Ball delivered in there, and that will bounce through. It's a Goal kick for Juve. De Jong wants to get it going quickly. Carvanel. Back to Lenzini. Inside to Valti. Nice touch around the corner. Salvi looks wide. And pins Krumbiegel. Rolled inside. Cambiaghi. Held up well. Bergsvan's physical. Cambiaghi wins it back. A strong challenge. And that is soft. To give a free kick there from the referee.
Yeah. Both of them are grabbing each other. I think that's very harsh. Cambiaghi working hard, but yeah, they both had a fistful of each other's shirt. Juventus starting to run out of time.
Krumbiegel knocks it out of play.
I'm not sure of that decision.
No.
There's a difference between playing it quickly and just rushing it. And that was very unnecessary.
240 seconds. That's all that remains. Can they find a route to goal and the time ticking away?
I mean, Krumbiegel just waited 2 minutes for Wolfsburg, booted the ball out of play and then committed a foul. Yeah. Not what Juventus need right now.
Navels. Bussy. Forced backwards. Lavels. Knocked out of play, and somehow that's deemed to have taken the touch off Bonansea.
This is perfect for Wolfsburg. Just running down the
minute tick down in this passage. Valti wins it back. Under pressure and poked forwards. Goal kick for Juventus. And a ball boy acting quickly. Juve can get it going. Well, actually, they're going to go long here. De Jong. Launches it forwards. Godo doesn't win the header. Falls for Krumbiegel. Slices it up in the air. Bounces around. Valti sends it long. Cambiaghi trying to bring it down. Still battling away for the ball. Lavels will get there as Cambiaghi wrestles it. Krumbiegel has actually managed to send it the right direction this time. Girelli tries to hold it up. And Dijkstra getting it away. Bonansea drawing the foul. And a free kick for Juventus. Great position for this. Really smart stuff from Barbara Bonansea.
Exactly what she needed to do. She knew that she wasn't going to keep the ball in, but if she challenged for it and got there first, she could draw the free kick. It's exactly what she's done. This has got to be on the money from Valti. De Jong's up as well in the penalty area.
Valti runs over it. Krumbiegel delivers it in. Girelli can't quite get there. Cambiaghi will get to the bouncing ball. Back now to Carvanel. Swung in there. Can anyone meet it? Girelli heads on target. Johanna saves. Is that the last chance? There's still time in this game, but Wolfsburg have the ball.
Great ball in from Carvanel. Girelli just can't generate the power.
He's just got to go back across goal. Ball launched to the left-hand side, and that's a gift as it falls back in possession of Juve. With a throw-in. Krumbiegel down the line. Barbara Bonansea flicks on. Girelli touches it forwards. Smashed away, and it comes off Girelli. Wolfsburg throw. Ball launched in behind. Zikai, can she get there? Krumbiegel battles for it again. Falls for De Jong, who gets it going quickly. 60 seconds to play. Just a minute left in this game. Carvanel to Salvi. To the left-hand side. Van Scar can't quite get the header on. And Wolfsburg have possession. Minga chips it to Bussy. Carrying it forwards now. Bussy to Zikai to wrap it up. What a finish! And Wolfsburg counter. And Wolfsburg will progress. Quarter-finals await for Wolfsburg. A big goal at the end of this game. Tidy from Cora Zikai. And Juventus with relentless pressure. But Wolfsburg survive it. And Wolfsburg will progress. Juventus 0, Wolfsburg 2.
What a way to wrap up this tie. A brilliant finish from Zikai. And Juventus have thrown everything at Wolfsburg in this second half. But they have not found a way past Johannes. And that is a brilliant breakaway. 2 goals on the counter from Wolfsburg is going to be enough to send them through to the quarterfinals. What a strike from Zikai. Juventus, though, have given it absolutely everything, but it just hasn't been enough tonight.
There had to be a goal eventually. Juventus threw players forwards, and that the final whistle here at the Allianz Arena. What a game of football. So much happened over 90 minutes. Juventus with a tirade of shots. Wolfsburg survive. Wolfsburg sustain the pressure. And Wolfsburg find a winner. They seal it at the death.
Brilliant.
26 shots from Juventus.
Wow.
They just couldn't quite force the ball over the line. But yeah, showing exactly what we can expect from knockout playoff round games, while the other three have been something of formalities. This, a proper contest. Wolfsburg progress, a 4-2 win on aggregate. They will face off against OL Lyonnais in the Champions League quarter-finals. That was everything for this stream. Thank you everyone who's tuned in. What a brilliant game it's been. Thank you all for joining us. We will be live in 10 minutes' time as Manchester United take on Atletico Madrid, looking to see out a 3-0 aggregate advantage. So join us for that in just 10 minutes. If you stay on this stream page, it will take you over to that live coverage. That was everything. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you in a moment.